Before we get into the video, make sure y'all like, subscribe if you're new. I mean, come on, what are you doing? If you're not subbed to me by now, my content is fire for Transformers news videos, stop motions, tour reviews, tour photography breakdowns, music occasionally. My Instagram is linked down below. And yeah, let's get straight to it. Okay, you guys haven't seen this beautiful, luscious face in a while. Obviously, you can tell by the title. I want to talk about Saber for a little bit. I don't want this to be a conventional review. Here's the boy himself. Because there's already a bunch of those online, going through the transformations, blah blah blah. I basically just want to talk about the pros and cons of owning a Haslab Saber. I won't be transforming this guy. I'm leaving him in here because A, this is a limited run figure and I don't want to break anything, and B, I'm going to be using this guy for quite a few stop motions this year. I have a stop motion that I'm going to be releasing later on this month with him, and then he's going to be used in a series that I will be dropping hopefully later on this year. I'm not too sure. A little teaser for y'all there. So let's talk about this dude. Pros first. Alright, the ratchet joints feel nice. The plastic overall feels nice, except for well, now I'm talking about pros. I'm just gonna list things off. I'm not gonna go in order, pros to cons. I'm just gonna be laid back talking about this figure, pros and cons, in no particular order. So the plastic feels great, other than Saber, the robot in the boy's chest here. Those little like knee pad things that you flip down for a transformation. Again, with the detents that don't really need to be there. I feel like I'm the only one really noticing this. I don't know why, because it's pretty annoying for me, at least, because with these newer detents, it seems like the plastic can't handle it, specifically the red plastic, because I have the same problem with Armada Starscream on some of the red plastic, and Beast Wars Inferno on some of the red plastic with those detent joints as well. And it seems like the red plastic just can't handle it, and I don't know if there's something with it scientifically where red plastic is weaker with certain stuff. I don't know, I'm not a scientist. What else was I gonna say? But there's like stress marks forming on those little knee pad joints that you have to flip down. And I've also seen people talking about the little head thing there for Victory Leo, where you have to flip it down for transformation. I've only done that once, and there's no scuffing so far. That's great. The blast effects, they're very nice. I always love blast effects. I always advocate for more effects with these things, because y'all already know I'm a toy photographer and stop motioner, so I'm an advocate for those 100% all day, every day. But the blast effects, they did come out a little warped, as you can see there with the tip of that, and on the ends there. Focus camera, come on, man, come on, camera. You can sort of see it. It's going to be hard to focus in, but I do really like them that they came with two sets and you can break them apart, and that they're green like how they were on the anime from the 80s, which is very nice. I love that. And the chrome, let's talk about the chrome for a little bit. Now, I have heard some scuffage going on with this guy in terms of putting Saber inside of the whole V-Star jet mode thing to transform that. I haven't even transformed him into the jet mode quite yet, because, you know, I explained earlier what I'm going to be doing with this guy, and I don't want to be transforming it too often, because I can't afford to buy another one. So, but yeah, no chrome issues on this one. There are a couple blotches from being read out of the box, which is annoying, especially on Victory Leo. Let me see if I can see it. Yeah, on this one, definitely. On this side of the chrome paint right here, there's some black blotches on them. And there's some blue paint splotches, like on the legs there. You can see that right there. And there was some red paint missing on the chest, on the, not the chest region, on the shoulder pad area right here up top on both sides. And there's a bit of silver paint bleeding through on Saber's eye right here. It's going to be hard to pick up on camera, but it's like right at the top there. And so the paint apps is a little splotchy, especially for a limited run Haslab. You would think that the paint apps, especially if, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not a factory worker genius here. It's mostly like robots painting these things, I'm pretty sure, so you would expect it to be a lot more perfect than the mainline stuff, but I mean, this is what we're dealing with these days, so what else do I want to talk about? So the waffling, I do not like at all. I think it's a bit weird for a Haslab to have that, especially since they set the price for these things, yada yada yada. There's already been quite a few people talking about the waffling specifically on these guns. And there's one thing that a lot of people haven't been talking about, but from a toy photographer and stop motion perspective, I do not like all the screw holes. The siege ports or the weaponizer ports, fine, but the screw holes, I mean, come on. You guys couldn't fill those in or put like fillers in there that you have an option to remove if you have to replace a part or if you want to like customize something. You couldn't have done that on a $200 figure, $180 figure, whatever. I don't know. But, you know, the cannon is nice, but I wish he could have held it with his arms bent like that, like he does in the show quite a few times, actually. So I don't know what they could have done to do that. I mean, he could bend it a little bit because this thing lifts up. You could bend it, his arm, like that much until it stops, and I don't want to force it because obviously this is a limited run figure. I'm not going to go crazy on this thing, and it's very expensive on the aftermarket, so yeah. What else did I want to talk about? Victory Leo is cool, but he just feels like a slightly better engineered Voyager class. Like, he just doesn't feel like there's not much going on with him for a $200 figure. But I really do like him, though. He's pretty clean. There's not much bad about him other than no waist swivel, which I get it. He splits apart. But come on, again, I keep saying this. It's a Haslab. Y'all could have figured out some sort of way to make a waist swivel. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I'm not a toy designer. I'm not gonna, harp on that too much because, it does split in half for the combined mode. Which, by the way, I really do love the combined mode. This is my favorite mode to display him in. And I love that you could combine the shield and the sword together like that. This is how I display it. I don't care if anybody watching this thinks it's terrible or looking or what, but this looks badass. You could use it as a shield while he's chopping down Decepticons or Destrons, whatever you want to call the villains. And I think it's badass. And I combine the gun with the V-Lock cannon there, and I think that's dope. You could add blast effects to the cannon and the gun itself, like I showed off earlier. And the articulation on this guy overall, I talked about Victory Leo's. Saber is very nice. Star Saber is nice too, but I feel like when you have them combined, these cannon bits get in the way of the wing pieces here, and you can't really move the arms up, so you have to take the backpack off to move the arms up, and you have to flip these cannons down to do so, which is a little too much work for me to do, especially on a $200 figure. So, but other than that, I mean, and there's some yellow paint splotching a little bit on the hip skirts there, right here, and the paint isn't bad. I think I got lucky with mine. There's also stress marks on where you connect the sword, the hilt and the blade of the sword, which I don't like. So I'm hoping there's an upgrade kit for a better sword and a longer sword. And when you put the blue hilt in his hand, when you don't combine the shield, when you put it in his hand, like this, the hilt just pops back up into the jet canopy piece here way too easily than I would like. I would hope there would have been a tighter locking joint, but whatever. But the articulation on Star Saber himself is nice. I love the ab crunch, love the butterfly joint back and forth. Double jointed elbows, wish he got a little bit more up in there, but whatever. And the head is my biggest problem in terms of Star Saber. To get some head movement, some head nodding for more expressive poses, you have to like disconnect him from Saber's head and like half it on there to get some head like some wiggly waggly in the head there, which I mean I'm not too big of a fan of. I wish it was built in there, and when you move the head up a certain point, you could just see the hollowness in Saber's head right there, which I don't like either. They could have easily filled that in. I think that would have been way better than this alternative right here, so I don't like that. But my cons aside, I do think the pros outweigh the cons. But I do have a slight, I mean, I don't know, I kind of want to backtrack on what I just said. I think the cons are a bit too much at times handling this figure, with the stress marks, the paint apps issues, the design issues, the waffling, and some of the hollowness is very strange to me on a figure like this. You would expect that not to be prevalent at all, but it is. So I mean, I got this guy on the aftermarket, so my thought process behind it is a little bit different. But if you want to get it for, you know, aftermarket prices, the $300 price point that you would be getting it for, or I see these going for like $300, $350. Some of the newer ones have been going for like $300 or like $280 or something like that. And of course the prices started getting a little lower right after I got him. I got this guy for $350, so I mean, but you know, a little bit of a different perspective to me. I think if you want to get this guy, if you want a Generations Victory Saber to go into your collection, definitely get him. That was my thinking behind it. You know, this guy's never going to be re-released again, and the reason why I didn't back him was because I couldn't at the time, you know, and that happens to a lot of people out there. So I just bit the bullet, got him on the aftermarket, because I just figured, you know, the price over time would probably go up. So but who knows, at this point the price could go down too, because I don't know, you just never know. Yeah, you can't just depend on another Unicron situation. So, but enough of me rambling. I don't want to make this video too much longer. I think if you want this guy in your Generations collection, definitely track it down. But the problems are there. I mean, but it is the best Generations Star Saber out there to get. That's not third party or Masterpiece scale. So if you want to bite the bullet and pay the aftermarket prices, go ahead and get this guy. Get him!
Congratulations, you have made it to the end of this video.